Hey everybody, and welcome back to This Woman Can. I am your host, Janice Sutherland, career strategist, and for the mature Black woman. Almost forgot I was going to say then, but it's been a while since I've done interviews, and I'm always looking for interesting candidates and to share their stories. And I found that in Monica. Now, Monica Wisdom is a dynamic thought leader and visionary founder of Black Women Amplified, a transformative platform dedicated to empowering and amplifying Black women's voices, stories, and journeys. Black Women Amplify provides a space for connection, empowerment, and growth, equipping women to realize their full potential and take charge of their narratives. And I'm all about that. And she does this through engaging events, mentorship, and thought provoking content. The platform itself uplifts and inspires women around the world. Now, Monica's journey itself has been nothing short of remarkable, and her diverse career has taken her through various industries, placing her amongst giants in the field. Her adventurous spirit has led her into the realms of cosmetology, publishing, and the music industry. So, as I said, I was curious to find out more about her journey. Monica, welcome to This Woman Can.
Thank you so much. I'm excited to be here. I'm
Fantastic.
excited to be here.
So tell us a little bit about your journey. I read your bio, but I didn't want to give away the whole story. So tell us a little about your journey and how you got to where you are today.
I've always been curious. I've just been curious, and I'm the type of person that when I'm curious about something, I go all in. I either do or I don't. It's either black or white. I'm not a gray area person. So
Yes.
I started off in cosmetology, and cosmetology because my father said you had to have a plan B.
Hmm.
My plan A was to go to college and become an accountant. But the plan B was tech school to have a backup.
Right.
And I fell in love with the hair industry. I felt like I found my people, creativity, light, joy, transformation, all the things.
Fantastic.
And I feel like that led the foundation of everything that I do now because it was about making women feel beautiful, feel alive, and to fall in love with their reflection,
Mm.
which carried throughout everything that I've done, whether it's helping to put an artist out into the world with their music, or it's writing a story about somebody fascinating, or it's about coaching a person so that they can feel like their truest selves.
Yeah.
And through the entirety of it all, it's all about, for me, storytelling. Can we transform your story? Can you see the power of your story? Can you
Yes.
build your story? And can you bring a new story alive?
Yeah.
So, everything that I've done, whether it's working in the cosmetology industry where I was able to move on to my dream, which was to be educator for major companies. I worked with Sebastian and Schwarzkopf, which are global brands,
Right. Wow.
um, helping emerging entrepreneurs build their business up, whether it's Intervision International or people who build up their personal brands in media,
Mm.
and politics and all of the things. So I've always been able to incorporate everything I do in everything I do, whether the avenue is, like I said, music, beauty, or publishing or writing, because writing is truly my first language. Writing is truly my first language. So it's for me, everything is a story and everything is about telling that story.
Fantastic, fantastic. And I love how you said about telling the stories because I think all too often when we get to maturity, get to our age, women are over 50 and above, we forget that there's so much wisdom without taking a pun. We know so much and we have so much to share in our own story. I think we sometimes forget what
Mhm.
our own story is. So if you had to kind of abbreviate your story, maybe in 5 words, this is just off the top of my head, abbreviate your story in 5 words. I'm sorry to put you on the spot for that, Miss.
She's like, well,
What?
how good of a writer are you?
Yeah, yeah. What was
Prove it now.
what would those 5 words be? And if it's too much, let me know. That's my
To
it's coming to my
abbreviate,
head.
to abbreviate my story in 5 words.
Yes.
I see beauty and light within.
Okay. Okay. So I promise you, I will not put you on the. I will not put you on the
It's all,
spot.
look, I told you I'm an open book. Go ahead.
So this woman can is all about telling people's pivots, transitions, the changes that they've gone through. So, what has been, I suppose, the most challenging reinvention that you've gone through, Monica?
I'm an analog girl, and at being this age, we did everything with pen and paper, with a pager and a quarter. And so learning this digital space
Yeah.
has been my greatest challenge.
Okay.
How to translate language and learn technology.
Hmm.
Lots of failures and lots of testing this and testing that and seeing what worked for me.
Yeah.
Um, and I think the other challenge was because I didn't know it, I didn't feel secure in it. And so I listened to other
Right.
people and they always led me in the wrong direction.
Yeah.
So it was like, okay, let me go. I had to come back into myself and say, okay, you've
Hmm.
done all of this, you can do this.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
so let me figure out what is the right ecosystem for my world
Yeah.
and what's the right technology for me.
Yeah.
And so I think
Yeah.
that was my greatest challenge was learning one, trusting my instincts
Right.
in this
Right.
new world, and two, learning this new world.
Yeah, yeah. So how did you learn to trust your instincts? Because I think again, at midlife, this stage, we have done things such a certain way, and we know it doesn't feel right, but sometimes we can be hesitant to make that transition, that change. So how did you overcome, I suppose the fear of doing that?
Well, I had to look at, okay, now that I'm in midlife,
Hmm.
what do I want the rest of my life to look like?
Yes.
I want more freedom. I
Yeah.
want more time to
Yeah.
myself, and to pursue the things that bring me joy. So, what is the
Yeah.
easiest way to do that?
Yeah.
Technology. It makes everything quicker.
Right. Right.
So for instance, with AI, it doesn't take me 3 days to write a story. I can write a story
Mm.
and AI becomes my editor.
Yeah.
I can put up I taught myself how to do a website. So now I can do a full website in a
Mm.
couple of days
Mm.
instead of 6 months. So I
Mm.
challenged myself immerse myself in the new world. And that was that once I got in it, it was like, oh, okay, this is fascinating.
Yeah, yeah.
Okay, because like I said in the beginning, I'm very curious. So how
So
does
that
this work? How does this
curiosity.
work?
Yeah, yeah,
So
yeah.
staying curious, continuing to ask questions, know you're going to mess up and be
Yes.
okay with that. Because the
Yeah,
thing about being in your groove at a certain age, you know how things work.
yeah.
But you have to kind of go back into your child self and say, oh, okay, well, how does this work? And
Mm,
continue to be curious, ask questions,
mm,
and find people that you could simply ask a question to. You don't need a
yeah,
whole coaching program.
yeah, yeah,
I just need you to answer this question and it unlocks the
yeah,
door. And
yeah,
so
yeah,
that's what happened is as I just immersed myself
yeah,
into this digital world and said, I'm
yeah.
going to fail, but I'm going to keep going forward.
Fantastic. So I think at this stage, perfection is so overrated.
Mm.
You spend a lot
Because
of time.
the kids don't care. They're online in bonnets with no makeup.
Oh, trust me. I'm still adjusting to that bit. There's a
Yeah.
bridge too far. There's a bridge too far sometimes. But like you say, they don't care. They just get on with it. And I think
Yes.
sometimes we need to take a little bit a leaf out of their book, so to speak, and don't worry about what other people think. But I also
Yes.
think at this age, I think we have the I don't give a attitude. So I think we're getting there. Some people may be balancing that, but I'm definitely in that stage where I don't really give I'm going to do what I
Right.
want to do because I've earned the right to do it.
Right. Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
So
Exactly.
you've touched on you. I think we've just touched on it because I'm going to say, what do you think that the younger generations can learn from us navigating reinvention later in life?
Patience.
Yeah,
They are an instant society. I want it now. I want it now. I don't think that
yeah,
they understand the power of vintage and waiting and allowing and allowing things to open up.
Yeah.
I want to see the flower now. I don't want to
Mm.
grow it from the seed.
Yeah.
We grow from seeds,
Yes.
and I'm sure across Britain and other places, Black people have the similar experience of we weren't given a uh, an inheritance. We weren't given instruction books.
Nope.
We weren't giving mentorship. We weren't
Yeah.
given guidance. So
Yeah.
we literally had to take from the seed and grow our lives.
Yes.
They
Yeah.
don't have that. They go to the store and they buy the full plant.
Mm. Mm. I like
And
that analogy.
so they are brilliant. I love them.
Yeah.
Gen Z is my favorite. But patience and allowing is
Right.
what they can learn from us.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Fantastic. And how do you think perceptions of age, race, or gender impact our transitions, our midlife or midlife career transitions?
Um, I think it impacts a lot because we still have to deal with other people.
Mm.
And until we get to the point where we can really galvanize and reconnect and trust each other,
Mhm.
we're always going to have to deal with other people.
Mm.
And when it comes to business. And
Mm.
so we're still, no matter what your age, you're going to have to deal with the same misconceptions
Yes.
of
Yeah.
who people think we are
Yeah.
because of our age, because of our race, because
Yeah.
of our
Yeah.
orientation, because of whatever the reasons are. There
Yeah.
are people that are going to still have that. I'm even seeing it in the younger people, which surprised me because I thought that they would have a different mentality. But
Mm.
there are still
Mm.
stereotypes and there are still systems that perpetuate those
Mm.
stereotypes.
Mm.
But I think at this age, we know how to navigate it.
Yes. Yes. Yes.
So it's
And
not
that
a
was going to lead.
surprise. Yeah.
Yeah, because that was going to lead nice into my question. You talked about stereotypes, though, is what stereotypes of biases have you encountered when you've been making your own career or life transitions, and how have you navigated them?
Well, so many. um, I'll start with uh I'll start with being Black.
Hmm.
There's the conception that I'm not smart.
Yeah,
And so people are always shocked by my intelligence. They're shocked that I didn't go to college,
yeah,
traditional college. And then I'm so smart. And I
mm,
always say, well, you haven't met my family. My family is like a PhD because they're all super smart.
mm,
So I, and what has been a hindrance in that is because I took it in. I always felt I had to prove myself.
yeah,
So I had went 10 steps ahead of everybody else.
mm,
And I didn't see that who I was
yeah,
perfectly fine. Because I always say about Black women is our everyday okay is other people's excellence.
yes, love that. Yeah,
So, and you came from the corporate world. When you
yeah,
walked in the room, you were the smartest person in the
yeah,
room.
yeah, yeah,
And so, and then because we have had to navigate life in such a specific way, we have a way to walk into a space and assess things that other
mm,
people have never learned to do.
mm,
So the, and the other thing is because I'm a larger woman, people always thought I
yeah,
was lazy,
wow,
but I'm one of the hardest workers, and people don't
mm,
give you, when you're a big girl, they don't give you the opportunities because they don't think you're healthy. They
yeah,
think you're lazy. They think you're all of these things. So again, I spent most of my life trying to prove myself. I
right,
remember when I first started, I was asked to join the educational team for Sebastian
mm,
here in my city and then for the company. And I went through my first training. And the instructor, I was the only Black girl. This was back before Black Girl Magic. This was back before, way back in the day. This was the 80s. So I was in my 20s. I was probably about 21, 22. So I was
mm,
one of the only Black girls
yeah,
working in a major company. There were no Black models except for very few Black models.
yeah,
So we weren't on magazine covers. We weren't everywhere.
yeah,
So I had an instructor, white, male, gay. And I thought, okay, well, at least he'll have some.
Yeah.
No, he was hard. He was so hard on me. He was so hard on me. And everything that I did, he picked on because he didn't think I looked the image of the company,
Right. Yeah. Wow.
right? I wasn't white, I wasn't male, I wasn't skinny.
Yeah.
And then whatever else his preconceived notions were. I said, okay, I got you. So everybody else went out to party.
Mm.
I went back to my room and I studied.
Mm.
And because my dad was a pharmacist, he had taught me how to read ingredients because it was in Latin.
Right.
So all the things that this man didn't know that I knew,
Yeah.
my
Yeah.
mother was a teacher, so she taught
Yeah.
me how to study and do my research. So I took my manuals and I highlighted, and I was like the Mad Hatter, honey. I was studying and practicing and all the things. The next day I came back and I said, I'm going to make this man fall in love with me. By the end of the program, not only did I get hired,
Yeah.
but then he was like, hey, girl, hey. I was like, oh, now it's hey, girl,
Oh,
hey.
oh, yeah.
You just
Yeah.
tortured me for 3 days. But but the stress of being the only person in the room
Yeah.
and I didn't have the opportunity to enjoy the experience.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, that was hard, but I did it. And because it was
Mm.
more about my dream
Yeah.
than it was his attitude. But at the end of the day, I
Yeah.
got the job and I did it for 8 years.
Fantastic, fantastic. And for me, that kind of sums up a little bit about when people talk about women having or black women having imposter syndrome. It's not
Mm-hmm.
always about imposter because we know
Mm-mm.
we deserve to be there. It's about belonging.
Yes.
It's people, I suppose I don't want to say allowing us, but in fact embracing it's a sense of we feel we belong and we're
Mm-hmm.
made to feel we belong. And that's the difference. Not that we don't think we've earned the right to be there. It's
Right.
that that some of the spaces can make us feel uncomfortable.
I coined it. We don't have imposter syndrome, we have systemic racism syndrome
Right.
because we're not welcomed in these rooms.
Yeah. Yeah.
As soon as people see us, they shut the wall.
Mm,
And then you have to
mm,
fight to get past the
yeah.
wall. We
Yeah.
always get past it. We always
Yeah.
get past it.
Yeah.
But just the instance of as soon as people see you, you can see it in their eyes, you can see it
Yeah.
in their
Yeah.
disposition.
Yeah.
And so, and even to the point when you're walking out the door, you have to brace yourself.
Mm, mm,
And you have to prepare yourself and you have to
yeah.
pray. You have to do this
Yeah.
whole ritual because you know the battle you're about to fight.
Yeah. Yeah. Just get yourself ready for it.
Mm-hmm.
Get yourself ready for it. But despite that, you've had a very successful career.
Oh, yes,
So
yes.
'cause I know just from listening to you, that's not been the only time you've been faced with those with very similar challenges. So, but Monica, what has been the most surprising part of stepping into this stage of your life, and this in the post-50 life?
People are welcoming.
Mm.
I'm meeting people like you. I'm meeting people that I never thought I would ever meet that I've admired.
Mm.
And there's something that I think when we get to this age, there like the pretense is gone.
Yes.
The
Yeah.
pretense is gone, the guard is down, and
Yeah.
we see each other and we see
Yeah.
each other,
Yes. Yeah.
right? And so it's so freeing not to have to walk into a space and feel like, oh my God, I'm gonna fit in. I don't even care. Like you
Mm.
said, I don't even
Mm.
care. It's like I'm here.
Yeah.
What
Yeah.
let's go.
Yeah. Yeah.
Let's go. Oh,
Yeah.
it doesn't work out. Okay, I'll see you later. So there's
Yeah.
not pretense, there's not the desire to fit in
Yeah.
because I recognize there are 8 billion people on the planet.
You are
And
talking
if you
my
don't like me,
words.
somebody else will.
You are talking my words. I said exactly the same thing this morning, and
Listen.
I say it repeatedly. I feel at a stage we don't have to prove ourselves. We got this far
Mm-mm,
despite you, not because of you. We've got nothing else to prove.
mm-mm, not a
We've
thing.
I've got more years behind me than I have ahead of me, and I want to enjoy. what's ahead of
Hmm.
me. I've
Hmm.
definitely earned that right. Definitely earned that right. So black women amplified, the
Hmm.
black women amplified.
Hmm.
What drove you to establish that?
I came from a very troubled childhood, lots of trauma, abuse, so many things. And that journey of self-discovery, discovering who I am, getting comfortable with who I am, um, I realized that I wish I'd had that space when I was younger.
Mm,
So it initially started, it was around the time Hillary was running for president,
yeah,
and they were asking women what they thought about Hillary running for the
yeah,
office.
yeah.
And they asked every type of woman but a Black woman. And I said, oh, so our
I
voice
don't care.
doesn't matter?
Yeah, yeah.
So I said, well, I need to build a space where I can amplify our voices. So
Mm,
the initial idea started back then. And then it just evolved into what it is now. And
mm,
I felt it was important to have conversations that mattered to us that wasn't connected to gossip or celebrity
yeah,
or,
yeah,
they connected to my people because
yeah.
we don't have a lot of spaces where we can sit up and talk about a book, or we can talk about politics,
Mm,
or we can
mm,
talk about problems, like real problems that are for us,
yeah.
from us, as opposed to
Yes.
somebody else telling us what we think and who we are.
Yeah. Yeah.
So I wanted to create a space that was authentic to us. It's always changing and evolving. 2 years ago, I added the podcast to it, which was amazing. Um, I love the podcasting world. I think it's one
Yeah.
of the most incredible places that we, as people of color and Black women, can really get our own voices out.
Yeah.
And I write the blog, and it's just been a great experience. But the genesis of it is that I wanted a space that I wish that I had when I was a 13-year-old girl.
Right. 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 So do you see that as being part of your legacy?
This year, at the top of this year, I said, I'm no longer worried about my legacy. That will be
Okay.
determined when I'm gone.
Yeah.
And I think it'll be different for everybody
Mm,
who has been in contact with me, who has experienced me.
mm,
I felt like, and I'll say this briefly, but I felt like I was putting too much pressure on myself to build this legacy,
yeah.
and I wasn't enjoying it.
Yeah.
So I'm at the stage where I want to enjoy everything and not be worried about, well, what are people going to think when I die?
Yeah.
That's
Yeah.
essentially what a legacy is. If I don't think about
Yeah.
people,
Yeah.
if I don't want to think about what people think about me now, why
Mm,
do I care
when you're not
when
here.
this is when I'm not
Yeah.
here?
Yeah.
And I
And I love,
remember,
sorry, carry on. Carry on. Sorry.
no, I was gonna say, I remember Prince, one of my, I love Prince, but he said it in an interview, and people said, what are you gonna do? What's gonna happen with all of your music when you're gone? He said, I don't care, I'll be gone. And it just was like, oh, okay. So at the top of this year, I said, you know what? Legacy is, I think it's important to set up things for ourselves so that people know that we were here.
Yeah.
That's why I think podcasting is important. I think writing is important, telling your story is important, because we have to add ourselves to the lexicon, especially in a time when they are trying to erase
Race. Yeah.
everything
Yeah.
we've ever done. So it is on to
Yeah.
us as individuals to record our stories, our families, our family recipes.
Mm,
Where did mama grow up? Where did daddy grow up? All of those things are important. But so what my legacy will maybe just to remind people that they were here. I don't know.
fabulous. Fabulous. And I love that you gave yourself that permission. So and that's very important for us to give ourselves permission to do the things that, just to check ourselves. Look, it's not, this isn't where I want to go, but we have, give ourselves permission to make a difference, to make that change, to pivot, to transition. So, Monica, we're coming down to our few final questions. But what myths about aging or midlife have you busted for yourself?
Aging is not old. Old and aging are two different things. You can still be sexy. You can be walking around like Angela Bassett or whoever.
Yeah,
You know, Oprah is 70 and she's sexier than ever.
Yeah.
Sexy is a feeling and an
Yeah.
emotion and a
Yeah.
confidence,
Yeah.
um that is, and it's being true to yourself. So aging
Mm,
is not being old.
yeah.
It's whatever you want it to be.
Mm.
And so I think that's what I thought at a certain age it looked like this.
Course, of course.
You
I
know,
tell people my 60, because I just turned 60, is definitely my mama's 60.
right,
That's not what I envisaged being at 60 is not this. And
yes,
I love it.
right. They always say, well, if you could start over again, what would you do? It's like stop caring what people think
Yeah,
and stop trying to prove myself.
yeah, yeah, yeah. It's definitely. So what's the saying that then? What do you think is the most empowering thing about being a black woman over 50?
We are everything.
Mhm.
And what I mean by everything is we are divine. We have a strong connection with our creator. We have a strong connection with life. We see people for who they are, not who we want them to be.
Mhm.
Um, and we are just, this is an overused phrase, but we are magical.
Mm,
We are truly magical. We have so many abilities that we don't understand about
mm,
ourselves because we are in such a other people world. But when we step back and look at ourselves and look, that's why I love us, going back. I just had a coaching client, and one thing I had her do was write her story as a child from the perspective of an observer so that she could see
yeah,
her life without all of the voices in her head.
yeah, yeah,
Right.
yeah,
So when we look and see how we have magically lived our lives with no instruction, no guidance, no
yeah,
inheritance,
yeah.
and we've been able to create, we are truly alchemists,
Mm,
and we are healers. We are intelligent. We're brilliant. Um, inside of a world that tells us that we're nothing.
yeah.
So our power is beyond anybody else's.
Mm,
It's beyond
mm,
anybody else's. And I don't say that lightly. I really mean it. I have worked with through my all of my things, I've worked with thousands of women. And when women see their power, Black women specifically,
mm,
when we see our power, we are unstoppable.
mm.
I don't know a group of women that have gone from Jim Crow to billionaire status within 60 years. I don't know any
Mm,
group of women that have
mm.
done on their own.
Yeah,
Right.
yeah.
There's when you look at Oprah's story and you see that she grew
Mm,
up in the South, the Jim Crow South,
mm, mm.
of segregation, of Jim Crow, of torture, of all the things. And now she's worth $3 billion.
Mhm.
We all have that power. And it
Yeah,
doesn't have, it's not, I'm just using money as an
yeah, yeah,
example,
yeah.
but whatever we choose to do, and when we move past the images and ideas and stereotypes that people have put inside of us
Mm,
and we unravel it, we examine it and we release it,
mm.
that's what this is. We get to
Fantastic.
be we get to be our truest person.
Lovely. So I'm going to end our chat there because I think that's a
Mm.
great point. It's a great point. But if people want to connect with you or find out more about what you do, Monica, how can they do that?
I have two websites. I have monicawisdomhq.com, and that is more of my business and coaching side. And then of course, it's blackwomenamplify.com, where you can learn more, read our blog, learn more about our podcast and everything else going on with Black Women Amplified.
Fantastic. And I'll be sure to put all those links in the show notes, Monica. Thank you so much for sharing just a little snippet of who you are today. Thank you so much for joining me.
I appreciate it. Thank you so much. Have an amazing and blessed day.
Thank you.